Hi, my name's Mark Bunn. Thanks for your time. Do you have an upcoming conference, special event, training day, staff development day, and it's your responsibility to find a health or work-life balance type speaker for your event? Or in your workplace, do you think your workers are suffering like our average population, with 1 in 2 suffering from some sleep disturbance, low energy, more than moderate anxiety, lack of work-life balance, or as I say, being a little bit too short for their weight, such that it compromises their health and their productivity? If so, I'd really like to take just a few minutes to explain how I believe I may be able to help with your event as a speaker. You see, having spoken for the last 15 or so years in many different countries around the world to hundreds of audiences, I think I know exactly what you're going through in trying to find just the right speaker. And maybe even having a little bit of stress, fearing getting the wrong speaker. Because I believe there's 4 key problems in overcoming when we choose a speaker. And that is, number 1, you need someone who's not going to send your people to sleep. Yeah? You don't want people being bored at an event. So having fun and entertainment is absolutely critical. If you speak in America, obviously you can tell jokes about Australians. If you're in Australia, then obviously you tell jokes about Collingwood supporters or Manly supporters, or whatever the case may be. But you've got to have fun as a speaker. Number 2 is really critical, and that's the difference of a speaker that just has great content, which most of them do, and a speaker who can actually motivate your people to change their behaviours. Because we know that's absolutely critical in terms of health outcomes. How do you motivate people to change? I do it through personal stories. When I talk to groups that have a high percentage of females, such as carers groups, school teachers, nurses, or corporates with a high female percentage, I often talk about my personal story with my wife. See, many years ago when we were first going out, we'd be having great fun on the weekend. But I'd noticed that the closer it got to Monday morning, the more stressed, the more anxious, the more tense Karen would become. And I was to find out that that was because she had a couple of significant stresses in her personal life and her working life that she wasn't addressing. And I didn't address it either. I didn't encourage her to work through it. We rationalized, like many people do, and probably many of the women in your organization or group, where we put everyone else in front of us. We care for everyone else, but not ourselves. And that's what Karen did. 2 months after we got married, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it wasn't early stages. It had gone into her bones, into many other organs of her body. And we believe that had a lot to do with stress and looking after everyone else rather than herself first. And so these stories really help to motivate people that they need to take action and change. When I speak to groups that have more busy businessmen, that push and push and push, have deadlines, I talk about clients of mine such as Johnny that had a 3-month deadline, and he didn't worry about exercise, sleeping properly, what he ate for those 3 months. And 2 weeks before his 3-month deadline, in the middle of his kitchen floor in front of his wife and 2 kids, he has a massive heart attack. Again, it's stories which help transfer good content to motivate people to make changes. And this is what you need with a speaker. 3 is also really important. It's the ability of a speaker to simplify the information. We know today that health and well-being is so complicated. People are so confused about what's healthy. Should we eat meat? Shouldn't we eat meat? Should we eat dairy? Shouldn't we eat dairy? It changes every week. After I finished my health science degree, I too was confused. But then I started working for an aid group. And I went to Southeast Asia, where they were so poor, they hardly had the shirt on their back or the roof over their head in some rural communities. But what I noticed was that these people were happy. They had big smiles on their faces. They'd give you their last grain of rice. I came back to Australia, everyone's stressed, depressed, overweight, diabetic. So I began researching the Eastern traditions of healthcare. At the time, all I knew about the Eastern cultures were that they were very good at producing world-class leg spinners and curries that could have you sitting on the toilet for 3 days. But what I found is they had a rich wisdom of health and happiness, which I've taken the essence of those and created a formula that just makes health and well-being for busy people really simple, where we can address the issues that everyone's facing: lack of good quality sleep, anxiety, low energy, obesity, lack of work-life balance in really simple, practical, down-to-earth ways. I've then been able to get the latest modern scientific research on happiness and found that we now know that creating happiness first, happy people, actually not only makes them healthier, but can increase things like productivity over 30%, reduce stress by 30%, increase sales by about 37%, and improve work-life balance by over 40%, with little strategies that only take 5 or 10 minutes for people each day. And finally, what I think any good speaker must do these days is not only just do the 1-hour keynote or a half-day session, but provide your people with ongoing resources and help right after your event. And that's what I do. In my seminars, we actually gift every audience member a copy of my best-selling book, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Health, which has now become one of the highest-selling Australian health books in the last 5 years. And it basically runs through all these simple, practical, ancient wisdoms in a really modern way. And so everyone gets an ebook or an audio book of that even before I get on stage. You also get 20 copies of the book as hard copies, so you can use them to give away to special clients or customers or gifts or raffles or prizes. But most importantly, what I do is I provide the first 3 groups to book me in any given month a 12-month health, well-being and work-life balance online program. This program just has a short email tip every week about something to do with exercise or having more energy or healthy breakfasts or work-life balance or how to be more motivated. And it usually costs $97 a year per person. So if everyone in your group gets that free along with the ebook, if you had just 100 people in your audience, that'd be over $10,000 worth of value that you get even before I get on stage to talk. And when I do get on stage, I absolutely guarantee my sessions. I believe that you shouldn't have to pay a cent if you don't get the outcome that you want. So if you're not 100% satisfied that you've got great value for money from me speaking at an event, then I happily refund that money. So if you'd like more information on either me and what I can do to you with your event, or you want some recommendations of other speakers, then just fill out the form on this webpage. If you're not on my website now, just go to the website that's on the video screen here and fill out the form. We can send you personally a copy of my book and get you on my 12-month program to sample it. And if you would like, we can actually send you some contacts of clients that I've spoken with before in your industry, so you can talk directly to them to see if I'd be a good fit for your session. But most importantly, what I really ask you to do is to take action today. And if you do that, then I'm going to give you my 12-month online health and wellbeing program for everyone in your audience, regardless if you're one of the 3 groups to book each month. We'll also allow you to videotape my presentation so that you can use it after the event or to people who couldn't make it. And I want you to do that because years ago, I didn't act when I should have. My wife since passed away, and my only regret was that I didn't take action earlier. So I ask you, act today, fill out the form, it's no obligation, and I'd love to help you with your event. All the very best, and thank you.